What happens when a seasoned journalist refuses to bow to a co-host who acts like she owns the entire table? Today, we're diving into the explosive clash that ended with Tamron Hall getting escorted off the View set, and the way it spiraled is hard to believe. Before we dive into the video, please like, subscribe, and comment with one thing you can't stand on daytime TV, because this moment had everything: ego, insults, and a power trip caught on camera. Now, let's get back to the video. It was supposed to be a normal Tuesday taping, the kind where everyone smiles through the hot topics and pretends the tension is just TV, until one casual celebrity story took a sharp turn and the room instantly changed. The panel was mid-discussion, trading opinions like usual, when Joy Behar suddenly veered off track and aimed straight at Tamron, like she'd been waiting for the perfect second to strike. Tamron was making a point about media responsibility when Joy cut in louder than necessary and said, "You know what really bothers me?" like she was announcing a verdict instead of joining a conversation. Then Joy added the line that made the studio freeze. "People who haven't been in this business as long as I have shouldn't be lecturing anyone about ethics," and she made it sound personal on purpose. The air went tight, the audience went quiet, and even the other co-hosts looked like they could feel the temperature drop in real time. Tamron's face shifted from confused to guarded, because she knew exactly what that kind of comment means on live television. Someone is trying to shrink you in public. She didn't raise her voice, but the warning was obvious when she said, "Excuse me, Joy, but I'm not sure what you're implying here," and the calm tone only made it sharper. Tamron held eye contact and asked the question Joy didn't want to answer. Was her 15 years in broadcast journalism somehow not enough to have an opinion on ethics? Joy leaned back with that familiar smirk, the one that signals she's about to go for the throat and then pretend it was a joke afterward. She fired back with something dripping in condescension. "Some of us have been doing this since before you even knew what a teleprompter was, sweetie." And that last word landed like a slap. That sweetie wasn't cute, it wasn't friendly, and it didn't sound accidental for 1 second. Whoopi Goldberg tried to rescue the moment with a quick pivot, the classic "let's move on" move. But Tamron wasn't going to let this slide like it was harmless banter. Tamron leaned forward and asked, "Did you just call me sweetie in a professional setting while questioning my credentials?" And suddenly it wasn't a chat, it was a confrontation. Joy rolled her eyes and performed for the audience like she always does when she feels pushed, pretending it was nothing. "Oh, please don't be so sensitive," Joy insisted, claiming she calls everyone sweetie, like that magically erased the insult sitting under it. Tamron snapped right back, not with yelling, but with logic that left nowhere to hide. You don't question someone's experience on live TV and then pretend the tone is the only issue. The other co-hosts shifted in their seats, because this wasn't playful disagreement anymore. It was personal, and everybody could feel it. Then Joy's vibe changed completely, like the mask fell off and the real message came out. She dropped the fake sweetness and said, "I've been carrying this show for years, while hosts come and go," and the arrogance in that sentence hit the room like a heavy door slamming shut. Joy followed it with the kind of line that turns co-workers into enemies. "You're not special, and you're certainly not irreplaceable," and the audience audibly gasped. Even for The View, that kind of direct personal attack felt extreme, because it wasn't about ideas anymore, it was about dominance. Tamron's face flushed, but she stayed controlled, which almost made it more intense because you could hear the anger in how calm she stayed. "Built this platform," Tamron repeated, slow and deliberate, like she was reading the headline out loud before delivering the correction. She reminded Joy, "With all due respect, you're one co-host on a show created by Barbara Walters. and then landed the line that detonated everything. "You didn't build anything." That was the moment the room tipped, because Joy didn't take that as a disagreement. She took it as an insult to her identity. Joy's face went red, and she slammed her hand on the table so hard the mugs jumped, a physical warning that she was losing control. "How dare you diminish my contributions?" Joy shouted. And suddenly, her voice was hitting that level where even the audience starts looking around like, is someone going to stop this? Joy claimed she'd been the heart and soul of the show for longer than Tamron had been relevant, and you could feel her trying to rewrite reality in real time. Tamron stood up slowly, chair scraping loud in the silence, and that sound alone made it feel like a courtroom drama was about to turn into a brawl. "And there it is," Tamron said, voice sharp and steady, cutting through the noise like a blade. She didn't call Joy quirky. She didn't call her funny. She called out what viewers rarely see said to someone's face. Someone who can't handle being challenged without melting down. The cameras kept rolling, and that's what made this moment so dangerous, because you can't undo what live footage captures. Joy stood too, eyes blazing, rage written all over her face, like she forgot she was mic'd. "You want to see a meltdown?" Joy screamed, acting like she was being attacked when she was the one throwing the punches. Joy barked that Tamron came on my show, disrespected her, my audience, and had the nerve to psychoanalyze her like Tamron was some intruder, not a co-worker. "Your show?" Tamron shot back, with a laugh that had zero humor in it, the kind of laugh that says, "You've officially lost your mind." Tamron reminded her, "This is The View," and the point was brutal. No one owns the table, and pretending you do is exactly how toxic workplaces get built. Then, Tamron said the words that flipped a switch in Joy. Toxic work environment, and you could practically see Joy's restraint snap. Joy moved around the table toward Tamron, finger pointed like she was indicting her, and the audience was dead silent watching it unfold. "Toxic?" Joy spit out, offended like the word itself was the crime, while her actions were proving it on camera. She accused Tamron of arriving and immediately trying to change everything, question everything, judge everything. And the way she said it made it sound like Tamron had committed a betrayal. Tamron didn't step back, didn't flinch, didn't soften her eyes, and that refusal to retreat made Joy look even more unhinged. "Fine for who?" Tamron asked, and then she said what everyone else was too cautious to say out loud. "It's only fine, because people are scared to tell Joy when she's out of line." The set was chaos now, producers scrambling, co-hosts trying to interrupt, and everyone in that studio realizing this wasn't a segment anymore. It was a public workplace implosion. Joy got right up close and dropped her voice into a low whisper that still got picked up, which is exactly why it hit so hard. "You have no idea what you're messing with," Joy warned, and it sounded less like a debate and more like a threat. Tamron's eyebrows jumped, and her journalist instincts kicked in immediately because she knew what that sounded like to the audience. "Did you just threaten me on live television?" Tamron asked, loud enough for it to land clearly, and you could feel the entire studio inhale at once. Joy's face went pale for a split second, like she realized she had stepped off a cliff, but instead of backing up, she made it worse. "That wasn't a threat," Joy said, voice shaking, then doubled down with the line that turned this into a full scandal. "That was a promise." That word, promise, hung in the air like smoke. And suddenly the moment wasn't just ugly, it was dangerous. Whoopi tried to step in, finally, saying they were professionals and could work it out, but it sounded weak compared to what had just been said. Tamron didn't let the rescue happen, because she wasn't about to let a live threat get brushed away like an awkward joke. "No, Whoopi," Tamron said firmly, eyes locked on Joy, and the intensity in her voice made it clear she was not letting this get buried. Tamron spelled it out. Joy just admitted she can make her life difficult if she doesn't fall in line. And that is not normal, not professional, not acceptable. Joy laughed, but it wasn't funny laughter. It was bitter and mean, the kind that makes a room feel unsafe. Professional workplace? Joy mocked, then tried to justify it with the ugliest excuse possible. This is television, honey, I'd say, as if ratings are permission to bully. Then Joy threw an insult meant to humiliate, telling Tamron to go back to a little local station like her entire career was small and disposable. Even the audience reacted, because that wasn't spicy banter, that was cruelty, and everyone knew it. Tamron repeated, "Local station?" slowly, voice dropping into that dangerously quiet tone that signals a person is done playing nice. She challenged Joy for lying about her resume on live TV and made the point sharp. She earned every role she ever had. She didn't coast on controversy. Joy caught the implication and exploded again, demanding to know if Tamron was suggesting she didn't earn her place. Joy called her Little Miss Perfect, then claimed she had been entertaining audiences since before Tamron was born, like entertainment automatically equals authority. Tamron didn't insult her back. She did something worse. She separated the two worlds with one sentence. Entertaining audiences and being a journalist are two very different things, Tamron said, and the calmness of it made Joy look even more out of control. Tamron added that Joy was proving exactly why the show struggles with credibility, and that word, credibility, hit Joy like gasoline. Joy started shouting about presidents, major stories, political influence, demanding to know what Tamron had done that was so important, as if loudness equals truth. Tamron answered with something cold, simple, and devastating. She has never threatened a colleague, never belittled someone's career, never lost it, because she got challenged. The studio went so quiet, you could hear equipment. And that silence was brutal because it sounded like judgment. Joy struggled to regain control, breathing heavy, and when she spoke again, she crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. She told Tamron she thinks she's better than everyone, then reduced her career to her looks, saying without her smile she'd be nobody. And the audience gasped like they got punched. That wasn't just an insult. It was a public humiliation weaponized on live TV, and everyone knew it instantly. Tamron didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't storm around the set. She did the most damaging thing possible to someone like Joy. She named it. Tamron turned slightly toward the cameras and said, "This is what workplace harassment looks like." And the way she delivered it made the whole studio feel exposed. She followed it up, calmly, explaining what power abuse looks like when someone believes they can say anything without consequences. Joy tried to dodge by calling it dramatic and mocking. It is a manifesto, but that defense sounded pathetic after what the audience just heard. Tamron laughed again, that same steel laugh, and listed it out like evidence. The threats, the name-calling, the credential attacks, the look-shaming, the gaslighting. The co-hosts were signaling for commercial like their lives depended on it, but the moment was too raw and too addictive for the machine to stop. Tamron called it what it was, bullying, plain and simple, and that word finally rattled Joy. Joy stumbled backward, cycling between anger and fear, because she could sense she was losing the narrative in real time. "I'm not a bully," Joy insisted, but her voice didn't match her behavior and everyone could tell. "I'm just honest," she added, like honesty is an excuse for cruelty, and that line didn't convince anyone. Tamron looked at her with something close to pity and said, if this is her honesty, it's going to haunt her career. And that sounded less like a threat and more like a forecast. The producers were panicking now. Security was being alerted, and the studio felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for the final blow. Joy, desperate to regain control, pointed at Tamron and said if she doesn't like how things work, maybe she should leave. like she was issuing an eviction notice. Tamron raised an eyebrow and asked the question that made Joy look ridiculous. "Are you trying to fire me?" Because everyone knows Joy doesn't have that authority. Joy backtracked fast, claiming she wasn't firing her, just suggesting she'd be happier somewhere else, which sounded like bullying dressed in polite words. Tamron repeated "somewhere else" and exposed the real meaning. Somewhere she won't challenge Joy. Somewhere she'll sit quiet and accept whatever gets thrown at her. Tamron said the truth out loud. Joy isn't mad about the topic. She's mad because Tamron refuses to be intimidated, and that landed hard. Joy insisted the show was working perfectly fine, and Tamron corrected her instantly. It was working fine for Joy, not for everyone forced to live under her moods. Tamron brought up producers tiptoeing, guests enduring interruptions, co-workers swallowing insults, and the room looked like it wanted the floor to open up. Then Joy snapped and demanded, "Turn off the cameras!" like she suddenly remembered consequences exist. But the cameras kept rolling because Joy doesn't run production, no matter how badly she wants to pretend she does. Tamron seized that panic and said, "No, Joy, let them keep rolling," because she wanted the audience to see what happens when Joy doesn't get her way. Joy shook with rage and fear, then said the quiet part out loud again. "This is my show," like she couldn't stop herself. "There it is again," Tamron said, slicing right through it, calling out the "your rules, your way" mentality like it was a sickness. Everyone could now see. Whoopi tried one last time to salvage it, pleading for a commercial break and a backstage talk, but the set was already on fire. Joy turned on Whoopi too, snapping, "Don't tell me what we need to do." And even Whoopi looked stunned by the venom. Tamron watched it like a slow-motion wreck, then asked Joy if she realizes she just snapped at the person trying to help her. Joy spun back, furious, telling Tamron to stop psychoanalyzing her, but Tamron didn't take the bait. "I'm not your therapist," Tamron said, calm as ice. "I'm your colleague." And then she delivered the blunt verdict. Joy's behavior is unacceptable. Audience members were filming now, and that meant this wasn't just live TV. It was permanent internet history. Joy realized she'd lost control and made the final move that sealed the moment into a full scandal. "Security!" Joy screamed, demanding Tamron be removed from the set, as if disagreement is a crime. Security looked confused, glancing at producers, because even they knew this order was insane. Tamron looked at Joy with disbelief and asked, "You're calling security on me?" And the question alone made Joy look weaker. Tamron listed the real reason, because Joy couldn't bully her into silence, and now she wanted muscle to do what her words couldn't. Joy tried to justify it by accusing Tamron of disrupting the show and creating a hostile environment, and the irony was suffocating. Tamron laughed without humor and repeated it back like a headline. Joy threatens her, insults her looks, attacks her credentials, and now claims Tamron is the hostile one. Producers finally stepped onto the set, carefully, like they were approaching a wild animal that might bite. One producer asked Joy to cut to commercial and handle it backstage, but Joy refused, demanding Tamron be gone immediately. Tamron stood taller, dignity intact, and said Joy would get her wish, but not because Joy had the power to force it. Tamron turned to the cameras with pure professionalism and said she's leaving because she refuses to work where intimidation and bullying are tolerated. She said she won't be part of a show where one person treats colleagues however they want without consequences, and that sentence sounded like an indictment. Tamron started removing her microphone, and Joy threw a petty line, "Don't let the door hit you," trying to play tough after losing control. Tamron paused, microphone halfway off, and delivered the final cut with sadness instead of rage. She told Joy she could have been a mentor, someone who lifted other women up, but instead chose to become the kind of person who makes the industry harder for everyone. Then Tamron set the mic down carefully, walked off with her head high, and the cameras followed her like they were documenting the end of an era. Behind her sat a stunned table, a shocked studio, and Joy Behar, looking pale finally, realizing the cost of what she'd just done. The silence afterward wasn't normal silence, it was the kind that screams, because everyone knew this would be replayed, clipped, and dissected everywhere. And that's how Tamron Hall left the view, not in defeat, but with a calm dignity that made Joy's behavior look even uglier by contrast. What do you think? Was Tamron right to walk away, or should she have stayed and fought it out? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking behind-the-scenes moments like this.